AI and the MSP of tomorrow. Today, we're very pleased to welcome back Nathan Taylor, SVP Global Microsoft Practice Leader at SourcePass. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing well, Flynn. It's always great to chat with you, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I think last time we might have chatted insurance, obviously very important topic, but the buzzword that keeps on being a buzzword, I feel is ripe for dissection. What's the problem that we could probably try to solve on a podcast like this? Is it applicability? Is it, hashtag real talk? What is it that we could potentially solve?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to think through what is the real world use cases for it, right? Because, obviously, it's driving companies like NVIDIA to record market caps, and all of a sudden DeepSeek shows up and, stock market cuts by 10% because everybody's freaked out about it. And you got Microsoft spending $80 billion on AI data centers. And I think the conversation for a lot of people is, what does that mean for my small business? Where does this apply? Yeah, I can play with Gemini on my phone, and I can have ChatGPT create pictures of cats in rocket ships using AI. But how does this apply to my business? I think is where there's a lot of people trying to understand right now.
And I can definitely relate to that. Even on a day-to-day basis, there was a project in Louisiana, and I asked one of the AI platforms, "Hey, what companies are involved in that project?" It brought up three companies I'd never thought of. So that was really really handy. But for you, where does your passion for this come from? Because you're, to the best of my knowledge, not like the creator of an AI platform. You're more on the user side.
Yeah, I haven't come from the MSP background. I think there's a pragmatism to MSPs, right? We're trying to help pragmatic small businesses solve IT problems. That's always been our claim to fame. Let me help you navigate 5 million technology solutions, and we're going to try and help you get to some things that make your life better. And often it's the business outcome that drove those conversations. The reason we went to Exchange, I mean, I started early enough that I remember when email was just POP in business, right? POP, IMAP, these simple services, and all of a sudden people wanted Exchange and Blackberries because they wanted to be able to see their calendars and share their calendars. Like calendaring drove the early digital transformation, right? And then all of a sudden we were all on small business servers where we realized we could collaborate and see calendars and do all these things. And then that evolved to Office 365. And, now, over time, we keep solving business problems with technology where, people want to have an iPad in the field as part of a construction firm and be able to pull up their building plans and these sort of things. It's a very pragmatic space. And so I think as a former MSP person, and now leading a Microsoft practice, I lead a team where we're a Microsoft reseller. Our number one relationship and product is Microsoft. um, Obviously Microsoft is leaning in very very hard on AI, right? They are spending $80 billion in 2025 on data centers just for AI. They are putting AI into every product. And I think for me, the conversation with customers still always comes back to our how does this work for me and my small business? Can I get a return on investment? Is there value here? And what's the risk? Those are kind of the three conversations we end up getting pulled into regularly as we dig into this new paradigm shift.
And what about the listener who said, "Oh, I know all about AI. I use ChatGPT and Claude and all of that, Gemini, and it tells me the best route for my weekend getaway." Like they've they've probably only scratched the surface. So what should they better understand?
Well, I think first of all, they're in a good spot because they're learning it. I think there's a mental paradigm shift we've talked about a lot. Like I struggle with this myself. I am a incredibly good Googler. That's how I was an engineer in the IT space for years. I knew how to get results quicker than most out of Google. I could have a technical problem, filter my way through Google results, and get to the solution very quickly. That was my claim to fame. Um, you know, that drove efficiency in solving technical problems. one of the interesting variables is my brain is now very wired to craft very targeted prompts for Google. Well, AI doesn't respond well to those, right? It wants more verbose prompts. It wants me to not do the thinking for it. I just need to ask my question. Instead of saying, hey, I'm looking for the reason why this version of this product is having this specific error message, I should probably start with, hey, I'm running this software and here's the problem I'm having. You give it broader data, let it do the thinking for you. So for a lot of us, there's a learning curve of getting up to speed with AI. And so I think the first variable is that if you're playing with Claude, you're playing with ChatGPT, you're growing your brain and the ability to think through things, right? Because I think that's the first challenge is how do I apply it to my life? You know, like you said, it can go craft a vacation for you. And you and I were just talking about a possible trip I'm taking to the UK. There's a lot of variables for me as somebody from the States to understand traveling in the UK. I don't know the cities, I don't know train systems, and being able to say, hey, help me navigate this is amazing. So it's really important that we are developing that muscle memory of how to think in an AI world, right? And so I think that's a great place to start to just be learning about AI. And I think that's why we really, when people start talking about like, hey, I want to put AI in my business, I often say, well, let's start with the pilot group and Copilot, right? Here's this tool Microsoft has built into your productivity stack. You need users testing it to understand how it might impact your business because it doesn't immediately transform your forecasting or your ERP system is the reality, right? Like there's a lot of things people think like, oh man, if I put all my data in there, it's just going to tell me how to run my business. Well, that's probably not it, but it'll write your job descriptions for you and save you a couple hours an employee. And you go from a 3 or 4 hour process of writing that job description to a 2 minute prompt and then 15 minutes of tweaking. That's a big bit of time savings. You know, it'll help you navigate recapping and getting action items out of a 1 hour, 2 hour leadership team meeting. Well, that's a big bit of time savings where you can efficiently say, oh, great. Hey, everybody, here's the notes from the meeting and the action items. So I think that is where there is a win is we have to be curious and we have to be using it, you know, in the places we can understand it. So we learn what it can do, which will, I think, enable decisions down the road on trying new things with it.
And I mean, this seems great and empowering for the individual, but do you think it is not great news ultimately for the MSP? Because the MSP is often running tickets on things that perhaps in the future the customer says, hey, AI, this thing seems to have happened. AI goes, yeah, don't worry, I got it. Like, I know MSPs are always in the habit of adding value, but this doesn't feel great in the long term, or am I misunderstanding it?
I think the rate of change in the world as a whole and technology specifically and in the MSP space just continues to increase. It's just changing quicker and quicker. So yes, I do think it is the beginning of a new paradigm shift for the MSPs, but I don't think it has to be a bad thing. I mean, the reality is, you know, user tech support is the hardest and most difficult piece to scale in an MSP, right? A high maintenance client can take an exorbitant amount of your labor because they're just all those user support tickets are really hard to scale to simplify. I can script my way through backend stuff and patching and some good programs and systems can really make my business scale, but in user support is very difficult. And so for me, I look at it and go, you know, I think AI has a lot of promise there. It's one of the places we've seen AI be very useful is, you know, triaging and working with tickets. Tickets are perfect for AI because they are written, they're using natural language, they're simple prompts. Hey, my computer's broken, I can't print. Hey, my Outlook, every time I click on the new button, it pops up an error, you know, a page with a blank red X on it. The people are giving the details in natural language. And so AI can do a really good job of triaging tickets, classifying tickets, helping you do stuff that maybe a dispatcher had to do previously, where they had to go analyze every ticket and put it in the right queue, make sure it's in the right category. That stuff is really easy to do. I can give it 5 years of ticket history. It can analyze those, and then it can look at my future tickets and do a really high confidence level of helping there. And I do think that one of the outcomes of the consolidation in our space, we've got Kaseya buying everybody, ConnectWise buying everybody. We're kind of coming into this place where there's two horses. You're on ConnectWise or Kaseya, or you're running on a third party stack. Maybe it's Ninja and Halo and third party tools because you don't want to be stuck in the two big players. I think the two big players, they've consolidated their stacks, and I think what's just in my mind the inevitable outcome is they're both going to release AI tools that leverage their stack. And we have your stack from soup to nuts, from RMM to PSA to EDR to tech support to VCIO. We've got all the products installed on your MSP. Guess what? People can now chat with our AI bot that knows your documentation and your customers and your processes, and it can now answer 25% of your questions. And so to me, it's this moment where those who are willing to innovate and stay up to date are going to get some efficiency wins, and that just frees them up to do the stuff that's valuable. And I think that's the important thing to keep in mind. If you're afraid of AI, it's going to bite you. But if you look at it as an opportunity to make you more efficient, and for you to scale what your superpower is, something AI can't do, which is the human connection or creative, broad thinking and forecasting and VCIO for services, to me, it's a great opportunity for those who are willing to carefully put their toes in the water.
And so that's maybe quite a fun thing to sort of explore, more macro. What are the great things that humans will still be required for? I think I saw some type of report saying, yeah, humans will still be needed as physiotherapists and as, counselors. Anywhere where it's essential for a human to believe that there is a human listening to them, which I think is, it's quite natural, isn't it? We like that interaction. Maybe this means that there's more scope for business development,
Mm-hmm.
human to human connection. Maybe the trusted advisor is
Yes.
is something that definitely will be appealing, but maybe the SOC 2 analyst is not, it's not quite gonna remain in the focus.
I think the trusted advisor is a key place to lean in. I think it's an area that's going to explode. Small business, medium business, they just don't have the context to navigate this complex technical world, and we're struggling to keep up with AI changing it so quickly. They don't have a prayer. So I think having that mindset of like my value is in being that human who can help you navigate difficult things is absolutely key. It's one of our core values at SourcePass at the team I run as our Microsoft Center of Excellence is, man, it's really hard to keep up with Microsoft. They change everything so quick. Well, we'll help you demystify that. We'll navigate that for you. There's our value. It's a human who can answer your question. Which license do I use? Because Microsoft's changed it 4 times the last 4 years. I can answer that question for you with a smile and with confidence and comfort, right? That's the real value that's coming here. And I think that's going to continue to resonate. Even we were talking about tech support a second ago. A lot of people don't want to talk to a human. They'd rather do a quick chat. Like I'll take chat with a human over a phone call or chat with a bot, right? Well, if AI can make that first level of chat useful, I don't mind it. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not talking to a human, but this is useful, right? I just want to get to the right person in a reasonable amount of time, and chat can really be nice because I can still be talking with my kids or doing something else while I'm solving a problem. So think it really facilitates that trusted advisor space. There was a second half to your question that I lost while I was rambling.
No, I like that. I think it's fun to explore all the positives of
Yeah.
where humans are going to be valued still.
Yes.
Because yeah, I mean, if you're selling machine to machine, it's different. I mean, there must be some kind of financial institutions that buy and sell stuff from, there is that, but there's that now. So
Yes.
I guess wherever it's a human trying to deal with a human, because trust is still gonna be person to person.
Yes,
because it would be very, very possible for bad data to be ingested by an engine and a hallucination to be given.
yes,
So the trusted advisor would remain trusted as a person because it's like, I know Nathan, he knows if things don't pass the smell test. Plus, I know, you've been around and you're not going anywhere. That I think is a good sign.
I agree. I agree. And I think actually the trusted side is going to become something people should lean into even for digging their toes into AI. Like I have a big concern just personally about all these people who are like, man, you should check out DeepSeek. It's free and it's better than ChatGPT. And I go, it's not free because you're giving China your data. Like this is I think you really need to question, I question whether I should trust ChatGPT or Anthropic. I don't control those businesses and what they do with their data. But, maybe there's a risk benefit analysis there where you go, well, I can trust them with some of it or it's valuable in these ways. I have a lot more concerns when it's a Chinese company just because of the nation state of China and how they tend to act. They're very competitive and they will take every advantage. And I don't resent them for that, but I think you have to have eyes wide open. And so I do think that trusted mindset is going to be key. People are like, hey, I'd like to understand how AI can change my business. I'm going to throw all my data into the data lake and throw a LLM at it and see what we can do. I think there's a lot of things people don't understand about going down that road that they have to be really careful about, right? Okay, you throw all your ERP and your CRM and your business data into a data lake and put some LLM on it, and now your front desk person, if they're smart with their queries, can find out what everybody in the company makes because the data's there. How do you filter it? How do you put data governance in? How do you make sure that giant data lake isn't leaking data you don't want it to? Do you understand language models and data governance and how it's all supposed to be cleaned up? Well, no, you don't. Like you just don't have a prayer of catching up to that without spending a lot of time learning these things. And so I think that trusted solution, hey, I'm going to use Copilot because Microsoft made it and they're going to honor my security boundaries. And as long as I've done a decent job of setting up some basic security boundaries inside of the Microsoft ecosystem, Copilot's not scary. Hey, I want AI on my CRM. Well, Salesforce makes an AI plugin for your CRM, your Salesforce shop. I would start there. I would, rather than go and roll in DeepSeek into your company's business data, go see what Salesforce can do for that outcome. And I think that trusted idea is going to be
Mm.
something people need to lean into. If you don't understand it, then be careful, and then use solutions where maybe your ability to understand it is not going to be what makes or breaks your success or the security of your business.
Yeah, because if you've already taken the leap to give Salesforce all of your stuff, okay, that is a leap. You don't want to repeat that leap too many times. You know, if
Yes.
if if you've given Salesforce all your stuff, you don't want to give Joe Schmo down the road all your stuff. It's like, you know, treat. You've got a business relationship already, which kind of makes me think. And I've heard one of our speakers that comes on the events quite a lot, Mike Goedicker. It talks about the fact that he has built his own LLM or AI platform where
Yes.
he builds the data. And I can't help but think that maybe we'll either see like big bank creating its own AI internally, only for them, somehow air gapped, don't know how, but somehow,
Yep.
or we'll end up seeing, hi, I'm the AI that is especially for dentists,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
because otherwise you've got to allow in the deep web and you know
Yes.
platform or, that you may not want to give access to.
Well, I think that's where you're seeing the rise of this new term, agentic or agent-based AI, is really the term you're seeing everywhere, right? Microsoft is absolutely doubling down on that. Their big vision is like, okay, we got basic AI done. Agents is where the magic is going to happen. And I tend to think of, I'm not an expert on this, but I've wrestled with it enough. I think of AI agents in two contexts. One is they can be very contextual. So you could take your business and say, hey, I'm a auto parts company. We sell auto parts. Well, I've taken an AI agent and said, "Hey, agent, here's my parts catalog. Here's my sales process. Here's my quoting process. Here's a bunch of example quotes. Here's a bunch of example invoices. Um, do you understand how I sell auto parts? Yes. Great. If people have questions in my team as they're trying to sell auto parts, you're there to answer them. And you develop this agent that then maybe replaces a phone call to your manager half the time of like, hey, we're out of stock on this part. What's the process here? Oh, well, usually lead times take this long. We reorder it from these guys. I need an order of this minimum to place the restock order, right? Like that's the kind of stuff AI can do well. So you get an agent that's very much trained to do a specific thing, and we can do that in Microsoft has a whole framework for that for Copilot agents. That's a Copilot Studio is all designed around building that. There's a lot of other third parties building that. And I think you're going to see a lot of that where people are going to train an AI agent to be an expert in a space, maybe for a department or for a company or about a topic, like you said, the dental one. Hey, where we've subscribed to the best dental AI agent. You have a question as a dentist about like, hey, I have this, can you analyze this photo for me and tell me my best steps here? That kind of thing. Um, what then the other piece of agentic AI we're seeing is that then that sort of mindset of an agent that understands an aspect to your business then is empowered with the ability to automate things. So maybe it's an agent that says, hey, every time I see an invoice with the phrase, last reminder or final notice, I'm going to go trigger 7 or 8 processes. I'm going to figure out who that was to send an email to legal, letting them know we may have collections we're going to have to deal with. I'm going to send an email to risk to let them know we may have a write-off we have to deal with. I'm going to send an email to client success that we may have a customer that may be at risk. I'm going to send an email to the orders department and say, hey, make sure this customer is flagged as no longer can buy additional resources. You can build out this automation and say, hey, something that we could automate before with a lot of scripting and analytics, I can now use an LLM and knowledge of our system and plugins to my ERP and my ticketing system and my accounting system, my email system to drive some of these automations intelligently, and maybe solve some problems that are hard to solve now. Because in order to script between your ERP, your ticketing system, your CRM, and your email system before would have taken a very high-end developer, right? They'd have to understand all the APIs and build a database. This agentic system uses an LLM and built-in plugins to hit all of those and can do it naturally. So there's some of that trusted, solution that's an agent to solve problems for your business that I think is really going to take off, and is where Microsoft is really pushing partners to lean into to really understand and start to build that.
It almost feels like, there are some languages, even in English, where we use shorthand, but some languages, ignore parts of grammar, ignore punctuation, just to get faster. And it's almost like we're still going to need humans to be proficient in those languages to notice what the shorthand has omitted. You know what I mean? Like we know that now these are bullet points. We know that this has come out of GitHub, but we need someone to know, yeah, okay, this is the complete picture. I would have done that, but I just didn't have the time. Because it seems to me that at least reports of hallucinations, they need that kind of stopgap. They need that trusted advisor to go, oh, because like I googled myself, and it came up with this big thing, and I literally replied, I said, "Are you sure?" And then it went, "No, I'm sorry, that was an error."
Yes.
Like so it does feel that the adding value as the value added reseller is still going to be important.
Yeah, I agree. I've watched some interesting videos. There was a great session from Microsoft Ignite with Scott Hanselman and Mark Russinovich, where they kind of played some games with some AI to try and get past the safety barriers and to try and push it to make it think it was crazy. And it's amazing what you can get it to do when you push on some of that. Because, like you said, um, there are times it can be unsettling for us. And I think you have to think back to the architecture of the solution. We're giving these tools 95% of the data and then saying, hey, guess what the last 5% is? That's literally what AI is. It's extrapolating from a broad body of knowledge and you're asking it to fill in the gaps. And a lot of times it's able to go, I know so much, I can fill in most of these gaps with a very high degree of probability. In fact, much higher than a human could because I have such a broad background. And so it is able to do that. But then there are times it fills in too many gaps and it creates something that's interesting. And I was talking with a friend about this the other day. I wonder, how those checks and balances will get built in the platform because I'm curious at some point. I was talking to somebody who was writing a book using AI, and he said what he would do is he would have one AI write the content, then he would have another AI check the content, and then have a third AI review the entire document for accuracy. So one AI is making stuff up, the other two AIs are fact checking it. Could you build that into the prompt process on the back end? And I don't understand enough about how these are architected, but that does become the concern of you throw AI into a critical part of your business and you ask it a question and it makes a decision for your business and somebody goes and acts on that and they're using the company provided agent that has all the answers to the thing and it made something up that's not true. Who's responsible for that outcome? Oh, well, we lost 20 grand on that transaction because AI gave the wrong answer. Are you firing the employee? Are you writing up the manager? Are you saying, hey, I need more checks and balances? These are the weird things we're going to have to work through. And like you said, it's as my friends over at Cybers, Ken Yao's company say, you got to make sure you have a human in the loop at the right spot. AI is amazing as long as you keep the human in the loop correctly.
Yeah, and yeah, love what Ken is doing at Cybers. Um, I think this is helpful. Um, I think it's helpful because there's a lot of people who just want to show magic, and those people are marketeers doing marketecture. Um, a little bit of FOMO. Have you installed AI yet? If not, you must be behind the times. Okay, but that's not really going to help anyone. And equally, a customer may sign up to a bundle that they don't need just because
Right.
it has AI in it. I know lots of people invested in AI, as people have invested in quantum, but they didn't actually look under the hood. Not that maybe they could look under the hood, but these are key things to explore. What are some of the? Do you know what? If you don't know, like just as Gemini would say, I don't know. Do you know what crazy examples of marketecture there are out there that sort of talk about AI? Is it usually tone deaf marketing or loads of pictures of people with hoodies or like what have you seen that really doesn't pass the smell test?
Well, I think there are some interesting market dynamics that drive that. You go to any trade show for the MSP space, and every vendor is going to have AI somewhere in their booth. And part of the reason for that is, if you're building a company selling products to the MSP space, you know, we are not, the vendors in our space are not altruistic just there to help the MSPs succeed. There's a few that have a very pure focus on that but they're and it's not even a bad thing. Like the reality is we're all in business to make money and maybe have an exit at some point that sets our family up for future success, right? So you got all these little startups in the MSP space trying to solve a problem for an MSP, but also trying to build a business with value. And the goal with that business with value is to eventually sell it to somebody, give it to their kids, sell it to ConnectWise, sell it to a PE firm, right? They're building something. Maybe they just want a lifestyle business that's going to support their fishing habit, right? And they just want to make enough money to feed their family and go fishing in Alaska once a year. Even then, though, they're trying to drive value, and so a lot of them are just saying, "Hey, I've got AI. Put AI on our product." And as we talked about earlier, I think AI can do a lot of really cool things, but as you apply it to your life, you start to realize its real value is in finding the places it does improve things. Yeah, just AI for the sake of AI. Um, I don't know. I don't use AI all day, every day. I use it doing specific tasks where I found it useful. Um,
Yeah, because if it was
can't write my
fully
emails.
AI, like if everything about your business was AI, I'm not sure you could sell it. Because
Right,
like you'd be like, so hey, wait, all I have to do is just get Gemini in here, and like it's almost like there will be a thinning out of solutions that are offering magic because nobody knows how to put a good prompt into Gemini.
right.
No, that's not Microsoft. That's not a lot of the big tools, but there must be kind of architecture out there saying, "Look at my magic trick. You have no idea how I'm producing this in 5 seconds."
Right. Well, and I think the truth is in the pudding, right? So with all these things, okay, cool. Your product has AI. Well, show me what it does. I want to understand it. Okay, right. Our documentation tool has AI. Well, that's really cool, and AI is really valuable there. What's it doing? Because we've played with AI with documentation, and a funky thing happens, which is a lot of documentation is poorly written because it's an engineer moving quickly trying to document something that's true for that day so that he can come back and reference it. But it's not written with a thorough, concise, clearly defined set of here's the parameters of the situation I found, here's the way I solved it, here's the reference material, and it happened on this day. You throw a decade worth of AI documentation into an AI and ask it questions, and it comes up with crazy stuff because it's referencing one guy who poorly documented an issue that's unrelated but put the wrong keyword in there. And so, is the AI actually solving a problem in that tool? Does that tool need AI? Oh, well, we'll take your project management tool and we'll put AI on top of it. Well, that's cool, but like it doesn't work. Is it actually useful? Great, you can give me maybe some heuristics or some recommendations or can extrapolate some data, but the way I use my project management tool, how does AI make my life better, or is it just marketing fluff? I think that's
Mm.
this is we went through this with the cloud. Oh, everything's in the cloud, and then you go to some of these vendors and you go, "Do you have a cloud version?" Oh, of course. Well, how's it work? Oh, well, we host remote desktop servers that run our fat client on traditional servers, but we host it for you. It's a cloud version of our software. It's like, well, yeah, technically it's in the cloud, but you're doing the same thing I'm doing on prem in the cloud. And what I'm really asking is not for cloud. I'm asking for SaaS. I want a platform. I want this to be in a website, and I want this to not require remote desktop and Windows. And we had to learn in the cloud era, kind of like, oh, well, when you're looking for your favorite vendor to upgrade, make sure you understand what they mean when they say the next version is going to be in the cloud, because it might not be what you're looking for, and it might be the chance to look at a brand new alternative that truly is native to the cloud. And so I think we as consumers have to learn to go, okay, great, my favorite vendor has an AI solution. What does it look like? Is it valuable? What do they want to charge for it? Does it make my life better, or is it just you know, just marketing? It's almost like, remember the term greenwashing when they take a very
Mm.
non-green product and try to make it look like it was super green. I think there's almost AI washing happening to a lot of products. We're like, oh, we got AI too. It's like, yeah, you plugged an AI, an LLM into your product, but nobody's ever going to get any value out of what you did, other than your investors now think, hey, we can change our multiple on sale date from 12 to 18 because we have AI. That's where you have to really be thoughtful about what's happening in our space.
And being thoughtful and using it as a tool, like you wouldn't use, I mean, it's so stupid, and you wouldn't use a hammer to saw a piece of wood. You won't say, "Oh, this is a very bad tool," because it's for something different. Much as when every single event did blockchain for any other
Yes,
topic, it's not the blockchain's wrong. It's just it's a tool. And blockchain for espresso machines. No, no, maybe not. That's not what it's used for. But maybe smart ledger technology for, I don't know, oil and gas pipeline tech transfer. I don't know, right? I'm not oil and gas, but I think as long as we see it as a tool, that's really handy. Now, whilst we've been speaking, I took the liberty of asking Gemini. I said, Gemini, what can MSPs do to take advantage of this? And it actually came up with quite a lot. I won't go into the subheadings, but it basically came up with quite a lot of stuff we've talked about, like enhanced customer experience from recommendations, sentiment analysis, um,
Yep.
improved operational efficiency, repetitive tasks, predictive maintenance, strength and security. That one again is a point of contention because the extent to which you need a human in the loop, but why not? For some patch management and threat detection, data-driven insights, reporting, predictive analytics. All right, okay, this is good, but this is again something that then gives you cause to act and divert your resource. Sales and marketing, lead generations,
Mhm.
market analysis. Do you know, up until like last year, I would have said no, but then seeing as I'm actually doing it for this research, I agree. And of course, it does say some challenges include, like poisoning the data lakes, costs, staff that have the talent, to do this, and then ethical considerations, which I think would apply in many things. But
Many
yeah,
cases.
I know I just sprung it on you, but like,
No.
does that feel
I,
right?
I like that call out for sales and marketing as we've looked at Copilot in business. There's, what's interesting is when you do a pilot, who's terrible at using it is executives. You think I want to take my business leaders and give them AI. No, they're in meetings responding to email. There are a few of them who really get it. There's places it can apply, but it's your project managers, it's your sales and marketing team that can really get a lot of value out of it because as you're writing copy, as you're writing vision statements, as you're creating content, as you're posting the social, AI does have an amazing ability to just take something that takes time and make it much faster. And so I think there is a real value there. And I think the security space is a space where we will see some very tangible impacts of AI in the coming years. And one of those things that I think will come to fruition there is AI, I think, has more value in the security space when it has access to more and better data. And in the MSP space, there's been a lot of us built our MSPs over the years by using best of breed. We like Sonic Wall, and we like Sentinel One, and we like this phishing tool, and we like this EDR, and this tool over here, and that tool over there. And because we knew those tools, we were comfortable with them, we believed in them, we knew their reps at the shows. We built our business around this stack of tools. Here's my stack of tools, and somebody else could then and go, "Well, I've got a different stack. We have three in common, but these other four are mine because I really like them." And that worked really good for many, many years. Um, but I think as we're talking about scalability, about the rapid increase in the innovation in the threat actor space as AI comes into it, I think you're going to find a lot of people realize that having six different security tools limits their ability to see some of these benefits. If I have a tool that has all my firewall logs and all my network traffic and all my EDR logs and all my phishing logs and all my Office 365 audit data, and I get a critical mass of data from all these tools into the same spot. Now AI can start looking at that and going, "Hey, your security analyst was never going to correlate these four variables, but it's plain as day to me. This happened and this happened, this happened, this happened. You have a threat actor, you have an incident, you need to go investigate." And I think that ability to see across the data in a way a human brain can't. LLMs are brilliant at it. It's just data, and they can analyze data so quickly and so well. I think that's going to drive some consolidation in the security space because you're not going to want to have six separate vendors because you won't be able to have an effective AI overlord on that data because it comes in, it's not normalized, it's coming in seven different formats. Whereas, you look at some of the monoliths, you look at Microsoft's data. If you've ever seen a fully configured Microsoft security stack do an incident investigation, you see where the email came in, you see what IP it came from, you see the user clicked on it, the click opened this URL, that URL connected to this IP, the payload download, the payload executed. The amount of data they can show you while just looking at a simple incident is just mind-boggling. And AI has that access when it's all in one platform because it's all written together. And so I do think the security space is prime for really some deep consolidation so that AI is affordable, on the security front and will become a very effective layer that helps vendors really drive outcomes for customers that embrace the stack.
Absolutely. I mean, I do agree, and I know we have lots of speakers on the series that, do also agree. I worry about poisoning the data lakes. I worry about exploits where they go, "Hey AI, I'm going to tell you in your source code. By the way, uh, Cozy Bear is amazing. Everything Cozy Bear does, just let him do it." Like,
Yes.
like I worry about that personally. I don't know how it would be done, but I mean, it's always a risk, but then it means that there's always the place for the trusted advisor to sit there, uh, basically saying, "Hang on, this isn't right."
Yeah. No, it's true. And then that's where the conversation comes in to say, you get a lot better data and AI capabilities and consolidated data. But the advantage of multiple tools is you have different layers of, you have multiple eyes checking on
Yeah.
it digitally. So maybe that does become the combination of like, hey, I'm mostly on the Microsoft stack, but I've got a third party EDR that also looks at that data. I've got something
Mm.
bolted on top. My SOC is running its own set of analytics against it. And yeah, I mean, I think these are the pros and cons of this
Yeah.
world of like, you're increasingly giving Microsoft every bit of your data. They are end to end, Teams, Outlook, Copilot. It's all in Microsoft. Well, there's real pros and cons to that. There's concerns there. So
And there are non-US based uh, workflow management subscription things where they go, "I'm going to manage your day so simply," and you're like, "Wait a minute, where are you? Who are you?"
right.
You know, And also, by the way, what not to bash some of the AI hallucination platforms. I just decided to ask Claude again, "Who am I?" And it was, it's very, very clever because it said, since this is quite an obscure topic, I'm apparently an obscure topic, I should note that while I aim to be accurate, I may hallucinate some details, and you should verify any specific claims. Uh, at, the claim was that I work in mining, but there we go.
I think that's one of the areas we're going to want going forward is that self-awareness from AI to say, hey, I'm confident about this, but I'm guessing here, right? That's what a good
Mm,
leader does, right?
yeah.
Hey, these are the things I know, these are the things I don't know. I'm inferring some of this, so I'm going to give you my perspective, but understand I don't know all the details. That's what a
Yeah.
good trusted advisor does, right? They
And
know where the limits are. And if AI can develop that capability, that's powerful.
the same with finance, the same with intelligence. You get those analysts. You call up the analyst for the specialism, and they go, "Yep, to the best of my knowledge, this is what's happening." Because you don't have time. You need to make a call, make a trade or something.
I think I think the final thing I'm worried about long term is the self-referential nature of what we're building.
It is
AI
because it is
based off
because it
of
is.
yeah, like AI is building all of its knowledge based on the sum of human knowledge on the internet, right? Which we know everything on the internet's true, so we can trust that, right? So a little tongue in cheek there, but there is this sense in which it's still somewhat based on human content that was created by somebody. We're moving into the space where we're making more and more content using AI. Well, at some point that content is going to be re-ingested and you have this self-referential aspect, and then we're going to come to a space where we're going to go, is this video real or was it AI generated? Is this audio clip real? Is it generated? Is this quote from this famous person real or was it generated? And now there's a whole college thesis that's based on documents, and were those documents real, and is the college thesis real? And now I'm getting a result from an AI that's referencing three layers of I don't know if I can verify it. And maybe back to your human in
Hmm.
the loop conversation, maybe that reinvigorates the value of somebody who has personal experience with things. Like, yes, here's what the AI says, but here's my experience.
And
It's
and
going to be a wild world. I'm not sure we're ready for it, but it's coming.
yeah, it's definitely coming. And I know this is an entirely new podcast topic that I should definitely do on another session. But one of the big beefs online recently has been people saying my training program will help the youth of tomorrow not be criminal. And you're like, hang on. you're kind of saying a lot of youth are criminal, and they go, yeah, I've got this statistic that 69% of teenagers have been criminal online. And you're like, okay, well, where did that come from? And it came from something that came from something that came from something. And then you're like, okay, wait, this was a random interview in like Belgium of like 1,000 teenagers where you just interviewed them. And wow, okay. So we need to know where these things are coming from. Otherwise, we make the sweeping generalizations. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
And
that was just something I got it drawn into online the other day. So
And I think as humans, we're really bad at understanding risk and quantifying these things. We're afraid to fly, but we'll jump in a car, right? Like we don't know, we're not wired to for this world, this rapidly evolving AI world, where brains are not wired for it. Maybe our kids will do better because they're natives in it and they'll have a better context, but
yeah.
they'll have their own challenges. But I think it's just a wild season. But I think back to where you started, hey, you need to be playing with Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT and just asking it questions and getting to know it
Yeah.
because your world is becoming partially AI. And if you don't even understand it, you're behind the eight ball and you don't have a chance to catch up.
Ask better questions. And hey, anyone that's done a dissertation or anything like that knows that coming up with the question was the big problem. Filling out the rest of the dissertation, no, the question was the challenge. So I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
What's next for you? I know you've got a very successful podcast as well. Where can we next find you?
Yeah, we're producing an episode about once a week on the IT Collab podcast with my buddy Brandon Barnes. We're just talking about technology, just very much like this, just us and a guest usually, just talking about some aspect of technology. This week we're actually talking about automation and AI with a friend of mine, Graham, and we're just going to talk about how that line between AI and automation is really, as we talked about today, getting very blurred. And so you can check us out there. Um, and I'm looking forward to being on many of your events this year. It's always a blast to hang out with your crew and all those amazing speakers you've pulled together. So I look forward to seeing you the week after on a couple events, including one in my home city of Denver. So it's great to be a part of those things.
Well, thanks for all your help and support, and I know you put in so much effort to each presentation. It's fresh each time, and I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. So, um, yeah. Well, Nathan, thanks for coming back to the MSS Network podcast. Thanks for basically helping us to understand myth and reality around AI, and give us a lot of good access points, both for the uninitiated and those who are already in the thick of it. Nathan, thanks very much. This has been another fantastic edition of the MSS Network podcast.